if we wanted to run into something we couldn't explain, we would go there, especially if we had somebody new in the group that was on the borderline of, whether they believe in such stuff or not. And we just took them there, and it's like, okay, now explain these things, and they couldn't. Time we were visiting, the curator at that time, who's no longer with them, she actually told me that she grew up friends with the people on this property. So when she was a little girl, she was running around the property and never had anything happen. And that activity really did not start until they done that to the gravesite. So after they disturbed that, then the activity started spiking, to say. And she never felt like anything there was trying to harm her. Nothing was there that was evil in nature. Everything that she encountered was benign, or as she said, playful. And we did, I think it was a total of 4 full investigations there, not counting the preliminary investigation I've done on the property. Before my group goes out, we send 1 or 2 people out to look at the property, see if it warrants a full investigation. Well, when we got out to the property the first time, talked with the curator at that time, and she said that she had all kind of things happen. I mean, I named it, she reported. Everything's from apparitions to stuff being moved around, poltergeist activity. It's just the whole works. And while I was there looking around at everything, getting her story, it got close to time to go. And she was in one part of the main house here, and I was at the door going to carry some equipment outside that I brought in with me. Now, as I went to go out the door, I heard what sounded like a large piece of furniture in the room directly above me being slid across the floor. So I'm standing there kind of wide-eyed looking up, because I knew me and her was the only ones in there going, wow, what was that? And then she comes out of the kitchen. Now, she hadn't told me about the furniture sliding up to that point, and she asked me what was wrong. And I told her what I heard. She said, honey, that happens all the time. I totally forgot to even mention that to you. So it was nonchalant to her, just something that happens.
Oh, honey, don't worry. That's just moving furniture. That happens all the time.
Oh, okay.
Does power athlete Alex Wong have what it takes? Of course he does. He drank Gatorade. G.
We're getting set up for it. One of the investigators in the group, he works with or at that time worked with the Emergency State System for Virginia. They're the group that if a local tragedy happens and the local EMS services can't completely cover it, they call his group in from the state level, and they come down and provide the support that's needed. Well, since he has to do all of that in his job, he had a rather large key ring. So he would keep him on his side on a, I call him a climbing hook. That's what he had. And he said he's been out and done numerous, sites and accidents and stuff like that and tragedies around the state, and he's never lost his keys. Well, it was already dark. He had a handful of equipment coming up into the house, was coming in the side door. And when he walked up the steps, he heard something hit the deck. It sounded like keys. And I was just inside the door, and I heard him, outside. I'm waiting for him to come in because I'm holding something I needed to see. And he's paused out there. And then he calls me and said, Tommy. And I said, yeah. So I started heading over towards the door. But by that time, he had set his equipment down and turned on the light. And he's standing there when I opened the door, looking at his keys, looked over at me, kind of flushed in the face, and goes, you ain't going to believe this. And of course, that's the most common thing we get told to people is, you're not going to believe this. Well, that's what he told me, you're not going to believe this. He said, as I was coming up the steps, as soon as I stepped on the porch, for some reason, my keys decided to get loose from my hook and land on the porch. Well, that would have been weird enough, but the problem is, by the time he turned on the flashlight, they were still sliding across the porch towards the edge. The site has a history of keys being taken and turning up missing key. A key to the house, they sit on the table, come back, it's gone. They find it weeks later, it's in a cupboard somewhere in the back under something, totally not where they put it at. And so they had pre-warned us about the keys, and sure enough, his keys almost left. Of course, he couldn't see anything sliding it, but they were just moving on their own, going right across the porch. He grabbed them just before they went over the edge of the porch.
Do you know why it would have a relation with the keys? Do you have any like theories or anything?
Normally, when it comes to stuff like keys, small trinkets being misplaced, little objects either appearing or disappearing at a location, a lot of times you can find in its history a child that died tragically on the property. And I can't help but wonder if that was the case in this case. It was, a child, spirit of a child still there at the property.
Alright, we're at Andrew Johnston house. We're gonna investigate and see if we can have anything weird happen or experience anything. Hopefully we will.
You're going in first, though, Mike. Hope you know that.
Why me?
Well, that helps. Canada Dry ginger ale. It may be dry, but it makes you.
We had set video equipment up throughout the house in every single room. I brought in a large team, and we decided that we were going to make sure the house was completely sealed off. So after we got all of the video and audio recording equipment set up, myself and the curator would start upstairs and go through and make sure everything in the house is checked so we can verify there is nobody left in the house. And once we went upstairs and started our checks, I was supposed to activate all of the recorders on my way down, so when we finally got all the way to the bottom floor and went outside, all the recorders were running. When I got to the first one, it was already running. And I thought, well, that's odd, which investigator left his stuff running. So I stopped it and decided, well, we need to go tell the investigators that their stuff is running. So as I went by the other one, I noticed it was sitting there, and it was in a play position, so it was running. The first one I got to, I think it was in fast forward, but the second was in play. And as we come downstairs through the second floor, or to the first floor there, I noticed the stuff on that floor was running. So when I went outside, I said, look, did everybody turn your stuff on? And they said, no, you're supposed to turn it on. Well, I went back and checked my own recorder, which I had set up, just had to press one button, off it would go. And sure enough, mine had been fast forwarded all the way to the end of the tape. Every single recording device we had went through and set up had been activated. Either fast forwarded, completely shut off, or in play mode. Nothing was recording. Nothing got put into record mode. The equipment consisted of digital-based equipment, where it just takes a touch to make things, activate on the camera. And it also consisted of mechanical type switch equipment, some older video equipment where you actually got a button you got to push down to activate it. And every single device had been activated. So we did finish setting up, and we did our recording, had the house surrounded so we could make sure nobody went into the house while we were recording. And that was all that had happened. Just everybody's equipment had been activated. Nothing else happened that evening.
Did you bang that chick last night?
Yeah, man, she was hot.
You dog.
Oh, and before I come down, make sure to turn that video equipment off. Okay?
Alright.
You got it.
Alright.
Man, that house is weird.
Yeah, did you see the doll up in the upstairs bedroom? It is really freaky.
Guys, who turned the video equipment on?
What? It wasn't us.
The video equipment's on. Someone turned it on.
We didn't turn it on.
What the hell? Who turned the video equipment on? Seriously.
We didn't. We didn't
What?
turn it on.
Do you want to fight now?